ultimately, if a narcissist is going to change, they're only going to do that because their experience is going to get infinitely better than what their current operating ways can offer them. So narcissists, I do believe, can change, but I believe that is an invitation towards change. You can't force someone to change. They have to want that for themselves. And oftentimes, it's not until you see someone really living a really deeply fulfilled, blissful, authentic life that someone who's narcissistic realizes what they're missing out on and will trust that pathway more. Hey everyone, so I have a question that comes in quite frequently. And the question is, can a narcissist change? And I think it's a good question to ask and open up a discussion on. I want to be clear that this is my opinion and I am not a professional therapist, but I am working from a diverse landscape of narcissists that I've worked with and known throughout my lifetime. And I believe that this question is really important to answer because we have people who are narcissists and show narcissistic tendencies throughout all of society. They can be a part of our families, they can be our children, our parents, they can be our spouses. Narcissist and narcissism is pervasive everywhere. There's so much content being created out there that teaches you to be afraid of narcissists, to hate narcissists, to judge them, to demean them, to see them as less than human. While there certainly are people in the world who can do really atrocious acts to other human beings that have sadistic personality disorders, psychotic, mental disorders, there's a lot of evil in this world. But it's important to understand that no matter what you see, there's always a human being in there. So it's important that instead of judging a person, we understand what is happening inside of them, why they're behaving a certain way, and whether or not we can be a part of assisting them to rise into the higher part of themselves. Because there are different people dealing with different types of relationships in their lives who really want to understand if someone who is narcissistic can change. In my opinion, the answer is yes. Someone who is narcissistic can change. There are a lot of conditions that would require that level of transformation. One of the things that narcissists lack is the ability to self-reflect, the ability to process their emotional pain, the things that are difficult for them, and actually take ownership of that. Narcissists are afraid of feeling vulnerable, so their emotions and feelings are something that make them feel immediately disempowered and vulnerable. In order for a narcissist to change, they would need to be comfortable with developing their emotional intelligence. This would require them getting in touch with their emotions, their feelings, and their needs, and being able to communicate in an intimate and authentic way with seeing themselves honestly, seeing what hurts them, understanding how to manage and cope with that feeling without externalizing it, taking ownership of how those feelings feel. If someone else might have hurt them or harmed them long ago, they would need to learn how to get through that feeling, accept that, yeah, that really hurt me, but hurting someone else and taking more for myself is never going to change that. It's only going to amplify the hurt that I feel inside. So getting them to really understand what it means to be emotionally intelligent within and communicate within that part of themselves to mature is a really key step in allowing the transformation of a narcissist to occur. What helps a narcissist to change is the feeling of connection. And this requires a narcissist to desire to have connection with someone else. Of course, someone who's narcissistic would always want to vet who they want the connection with. this is where their incentives may need to change a bit. Typically, a narcissist will connect to someone that will benefit them in a material way, but they may be less open to connecting to someone who is more needy or who they don't have a high esteem for. It would be important for the narcissist to begin melting away those judgments and allowing them to see themselves as part of the greater whole of humanity. It's important for narcissists to learn to develop connection with their truth, how they feel, what they truly desire for their core needs, and also connect to others in an authentic way. Connection is a really important part of the development of the soul. It also allows a person to feel a sense of peace and meaning in this world. If you're only serving yourself, you're going to be miserable. There's a part of us that is designed to serve others. And if we find ourselves in depression or anxiety, it's typically because we're focused on ourselves too much and not focused on the service and the gratitude that we have for our lives. If a narcissist desires to change, it will be important for them to develop the humility to serve others, to melt away the superego that has come to protect them and be their coping tool, and allow themselves to merge into the world of the unknown. That can be a very scary thing for a narcissist to hear, because they have worked so hard at being able to feel in control of any environment they want to be in. That's why there is such a pervasive unhappiness, because it's the part of us that wants to wander and experience the unpredictable. And we can do that when we serve others, when we literally become less self-important and become useful to those who are truly in need. So many people are afraid of being in service to those who might have less than them. But the truth is that the most beautiful experiences a person can have can arise because you have been in service to humanity and what your heart calls you to do in a beautiful action. There is so much need in this world, and one of the best ways to transform yourself if you're narcissistic is to actually let go of this egoic illusion that living separate from others in life is what makes you happy, because it doesn't. It's really about having an interconnected experience, both inner and outer. If you can't trust humans yet, then there are other things in life to serve that can help transform you. There are so many animals in the world. There are people that need housing. Maybe you have a skill set that is so useful in the service of others. There are ways that you can serve in this world and be transformed by the experiences that you have come to witness. I can't tell you how many days where I've gone through life where my mind would get ahead of me and I would start beating myself up. And then you go into service and you realize you have everything you need. You're so blessed and you have more than enough. And to share that, to give of yourself in that way, it makes you feel better about everything in your life. You feel so much better when you're able to let go of the ego intellect mind and really drop in to the interconnected being part of the experience. So that is another way that a narcissist can change, is really finding true connection within themselves and within the service of others. Narcissists cannot change without having people around them who truly love them and want the best for them and hold them to a sense of accountability, because narcissists develop coping tools and cleverness and kind of a cunning to navigate life with. And so they become very, very intelligent people that learn how to manipulate people and situations. So it becomes very important if a narcissist is going to change that they have a community around them, or they have relationships around them that hold them to account, that won't placate their ego or be afraid to tell them the truth. If you really want the best from the narcissist in your life, or if you are a narcissist, then it's really important that you allow people to speak the truth to you, because it's really going to help you stay humble and see yourself for what truly is. When you have that ability to see the truth for what it is, you no longer need to lie to yourself and lock yourself in this really small, immature way of experiencing life that is really stealing happiness from you. When a narcissist takes that step, they become safer for other people to be around and have relationship with, because they're able at that point to begin separating what is theirs to own and process and to work through without externalizing onto others. And they're more capable of being able to understand what other people are going through because of that. Once they understand how to communicate with themselves, they are able to communicate with those around them about what they're going through in a much more sincere and authentic way, in an empathic way, in a way that says, I know what you suffer because I've tuned into my own suffering when I experienced these types of things too. And now that I understand what that feels like, I want to be a loving person in your life, someone who can help ease that suffering instead of increase it for you. This process allows the narcissist to learn to love themselves, to learn to accept themselves, the good, the bad, and the difficult. Whatever has been in the past and present, it integrates the whole truth and allows them to transform that part of themselves that was once hurt and doesn't know how to deal with it, but that hopes and dreams to be a better human being. It's so important that if you are a narcissist or you have narcissistic tendencies, that you don't require those around you to BS you, that you learn to get comfortable with the truth. There are so many different ways to see things that can enrich your life and help you become a better human being. Ultimately, if a narcissist is going to change, they're only going to do that because their experience is going to get infinitely better than what their current operating ways can offer them. So narcissists, I do believe, can change, but I believe that it's an invitation towards change. You can't force someone to change. They have to want that for themselves. And oftentimes, it's not until you see someone really living a really deeply fulfilled, blissful, authentic life that someone who's narcissistic realizes what they're missing out on and will trust that pathway more. I believe narcissists can change. I believe that all human beings can change. I believe that it's just a process of believing in yourself, seeking the truth, doing the work, not being afraid to suffer or to feel or to change the way that you operate and grow. It's in the growth that there is so much more freedom and just these beautiful little moments that sprout all around you that make you feel in connection with the greater whole of all of life and love and everything in the universe that makes this universe an amazing miracle.